good decisions, then I think that almost makes it, you have even more integrity in there, so you're pushing.
Yeah, so you start getting up, you start losing sight of who's above you, and you start thinking about who's below you. So if you don't have anyone to answer to but yourself, it becomes more tempting to bend the rules a little bit more.
I think that's probably where the selfless service and humility aspect come in there as well, because you will probably in that position see the rules differently and understanding them differently. We'll want to sometimes make changes. But the difference is whether those changes are being tailored, like they said, to yourself, with your schedule, or if they are for the people you're serving or you're leading and to what's going to benefit them the most.
Okay. About some of you first year cadets that are just getting into this, what is some of all this mean to you? You just, I mean, you're in the Atlas position, you're on the bottom end, the wheels on your shoulders.
You mean the rules that are following? I think that you have to learn all of them before we can have a better understanding of what we need to be doing in general. Because if we don't know rules, then we're ignorant, and we might be breaking some rules. So we have to learn everything, and we don't see the whole picture, I don't think. So any rules that you don't understand, you have to live by, because there's a reason for it.
Yeah, you have to be a good follower before you know
You learn being a follower?
Yes, sir.
And big time. As you go through your careers, you're going to have leaders that you're going to have to just suck up and bite your tongue with for 2 years because they're not that good. And then you'll have other leaders who are just absolutely outstanding and you could go to the ends of the earth. You'd even like to follow them in their career if you could. One of the highest praises I can give a subordinate an evaluation is my willingness to state on an officer evaluation report that I would willingly serve with them again. The ethics works both ways. If I see a subordinate who's willing to bend the rules, it tells me that they're lacking some of what we in the Army teach: the loyalty, the duty, the respect, integrity, and they may not be good leadership material for promotion. I don't know, I know the Army pushes a lot of our values in getting our soldiers to learn them. Do you get much of this from the Air Force? Can you help me learn a little bit here?
I'd say we get more of the Air Force core values and the Airman's Creed there on the board behind you there. Just the integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And then Airman's Creed. Definitely that, I mean, that encompasses all that's on the board there.
I definitely push that sort of thing. We're always talking about meeting standards and all that.
Okay, everything I listed on the board, the eight morals are all part of your first core value, integrity first. So you've got it layered in there. The second value, service for self. What are the key components there?
Mission first, people always is the thing we always do. Is that, the first point, we need to make sure that we're taking care of the mission that we need to be accomplishing. And then we need to take care of the people around us, but part of taking care of those people around us is taking care of ourselves. So making sure we're putting what we're doing before us, and then making sure we take care of ourselves so we can serve, basically. So we're, sort of double-ended idea there.
Okay. As a leader, who do you put first?
Your people.
Your people? Exactly. When do you lead?
After everyone else.
So if you're in a chow line with these guys, you guys be able to lead first. What about discipline and self-control?
And we need to be able to sort of say when, when we're starting to get out of line, so we don't do that, make sure that we're within the boundaries where we need to be to properly lead people and not bend the rules as we've been talking about before, those sorts of things. And discipline and self-control help us to do that.
Going on to what Cadet Master said, when we bend the rules, we're only serving ourselves. There's no way we can serve other people when we are not integral, when we're not when we don't have integrity first. There's no way we can serve anyone else but ourselves. So with discipline and being able to stick to the rules and the laws, we will be able to not only be able to serve other people, but be able to be an example to other people in that way, serving them in that way as well.
Discipline and self-control show that you've got it together, and all of your subordinates will be able to see that. I mean, if you're somebody who bends the rules and does things, you're just kind of like a wild child. They don't know what they want to do. But if they see that you are always one who follows the rules and enforces them no matter what, then it's like an anchor. Like they always know that you will be the constant instead of just the variable.
I'm going to add on to that as well. I think, just like you said, those subordinates, they can have confidence in a leader that has self-control and discipline. I believe that discipline and self-control that we carry down us is a principle of power. Some of the most powerful people that I know with personal character are the ones that live a life of discipline. And I don't think there's any randomness in that correlation, because being part of the most powerful organization on this earth, we see that that's defined by the self-control and discipline that we live by.
Being service members, we have a higher standard than the general population.
Well, yeah, not only do we have regular laws, we have UCMJ on top of that.
And with that, I mean, when it's surveyed out, the most respected individuals in the nation, the military is always in the top few spots as far as the ones that are expected. They expect us to be held to a higher standard. Everybody hears about like the discipline that goes on in the military, or that military members are supposed to have, and so when they see your uniform, then they do hold you to a higher standard at all times. Even if you're not in your uniform, they know that you are a member, and you do something that maybe you wouldn't do in uniform. It's very recognizable when you see that.
Not only on that, we're a voluntary service, so we have chosen to deal with life and death situations every day. So it's expected that we will be a bit higher moral character just because we're willing to take on that huge responsibility.
You uphold the image wherever you go.
What about as a reservist?
I feel like maybe even as a reservist you have to, almost hold more of a standard, because they need to call on you, the drop of a hat, and then you just be ready, so you should practice it all the time.
Definitely have the same standards to hold to. You're wearing the same uniform.
Okay, when I'm in uniform, I have to live by the same standards. But what about if I'm dressed like a couple of people here to my right?
Still the same thing, because you're still a service member whether you're in uniform or not.
You never walk away from it, do you?
No.
What about your fellow students here at Utah State? Do they look upon you a little differently once they find out? race, ethnicity, it doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. It's a wonderful place to be as far as the military goes. But even as a reservist, I have certain limitations. If I were to run for political office, I couldn't use a photograph of me in uniform because it's conveying to the public that my campaign is sanctioned by the Army. And in fact, there's an Army reservist in Hawaii that is now in trouble for doing just that. And I guess if I can leave you with a lesson here, when we went into Afghanistan and then we went into Iraq, there was a lot of gnashing of teeth, particularly from some commissioned officers who did not realize that their commission was not indefinite. Once you're appointed an officer in the U.S. military as an indefinite commission until you resign. You're very aware of that? And never forget that. When I hear stories of people in the individual ready reserve who said, hey, I did my 4 years, I was done. I look at them and say, but you're a commissioned officer. Yeah, you had 4 years of the obligation to do active service. You had 4 years to do either as a drilling reservist or an individual ready reserve. That didn't. Your obligation as an officer didn't stop with your 4 years of active duty. It stops with your 8 years of service that you're obligated to serve. And then even after that, unless you physically write a letter to Human Resources Command in the Army, resigning your commission, you're still a commissioned officer. You can still be recalled back on active duty. So even within the Army, I have to question, some of the people I saw, whether they had integrity. They might have gotten college money.
Personally mentioned along the same lines, and recently we've been hearing a lot about like the 5th Striker Brigade and some things that went on there, and them not wanting to go along with the counterinsurgents upon the point, and kind of doing their own thing, not being committed to those principles.
Exactly, and the whole nature of warfare has changed, and it's changed in such a way that an E4 or E5 who gets out of line at a place like Abu Ghraib or with the 5th Striker Brigade, it gives us a black eye. And that's, we teach cultural sensitivity, just from taking what we do in the military from a strategic level to an operational level all the way down to a tactical level.